You want answers? I think I'm entitled. You want answers? I want the truth. You can't handle the truth.
We are the madmen of masculinity.
Your home for healthy masculinity. We're just real men having real conversations for you. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, it is time.
I am Kirk M. Samuels.
And I am Jason B. Kendrick.
And we are the madmen of masculinity.
That's right. We're just real men having real conversations
Who?
for you.
For you.
Right here on your home for healthy masculinity.
For you.
Hey, so Kirk.
We do this for you.
I want to ask you a question, man.
Hey, man, we doing this for you.
I know you're doing this.
We got to hurry up. I got to go home and watch The Golden Bachelor.
Lord have mercy, you and your crap shows, man. I can't tell you how much
I tried. I can't.
I dislike those shows.
I tried. I can't do that. A bunch of 70-year-olds. Like,
yeah,
it looks. 70-year-old shouldn't be doing.
It looks gross.
I don't know. Man. Sorry about
hey, that. I mean, more power to you if you can still do that.
When I'm at 70. Yeah, don't hate on me when I'm 70.
But keep it. But keep. You don't have to do it on camera though.
Okay.
Keep that to yourself for real. I'm just saying.
And there's a whole lot of plastic on that show, man. There's a whole lot of plastic surgery, man.
I bet they're all smooth foreheads, got like windshield wipers.
You
on
know
there.
that, man.
Oh, yeah.
You know that. Oh, yeah. It's scary, man. It's real scary. But we digress.
I digress. We digress.
I know.
It shall be digressed.
I'm good at getting us off on some tangents.
Yeah, I mean, we're trying to talk about some important stuff.
I got
here.
more tangents than a geometry textbook. So you ain't get that. You ain't get that. I went to public school. You didn't get that, man.
It took me a second.
I didn't public school joke in there, man.
Math wasn't my favorite.
But
you, sir, correct me if I'm wrong. You might be considered an extrovert, right?
I took a Myers-Briggs assessment, whatever you call it, evaluation or whatever you want to call it. I took one of them, and I was basically a 20 out of 20 extrovert.
I never would have guessed.
Yeah.
Never would have guessed.
20 out of 20.
But see, that's why we make such a good team, because I am more of an introvert, or maybe an ambivert, if you want to call it that.
You want to be extrovert.
I have my extroverted moments, usually when I'm doing this or on stage, but then the rest of the time I want to be in my little hole, like leave me alone. I only want to hang out with cool people. And so, yeah.
All introverts really want to be extroverts.
Well, I mean, maybe not. I don't know about all that. We'll see about that. But the reason I ask.
Why you ask?
I have a man in the studio today.
No, you don't.
I do.
No, you don't. Prove it.
We have this gentleman in the studio who did write the book, An Introvert's Guide to World Domination.
Wow.
I mean, we're here to try to help men. And I know probably 50% or so of men are introverts. If the other half is extroverts. So maybe they need some help. So let's bring in my man, Nick Shelton. Nick Shelton is in the building.
Nick! What's up, Nick?
Hey, guys.
Hey, you related to Blake?
Not related to Blake Shelton.
They look so much alike,
though. A whole lot alike, man. No, you don't. About as much alike as me and JBK over here.
We're starting to look more like as the years go on.
I don't know, man. I don't know. Something like that. We keep playing golf. You might darken up a little bit.
Yeah. Get a little bit of sunshine.
I think this is important, man, because a lot of, especially, from a guy perspective, sometimes we speak to men, sometimes you speak for men on this show. And I think, I think a lot of guys, especially in relationships, because, a lot of guys, if they're on a dating scene or, if you're trying to get to know somebody or whatever, personality types are really, really important. And a lot of guys can really get sideways in terms of, man, how do I balance being, what can seem like an introvert in an extroverted world, especially in a process like dating or going out to functions and all those kinds of things. So I think this is important to guys, man.
Yeah. So break it down for us. I'm just guessing here that you might have been an introvert at some point, and that's what got you into writing this book.
Yes, I'm still an introvert.
Still is.
Yes.
He ain't changed.
Yes. But you're right. One of the main motivators was I would see, the other guys getting the girls and stuff. It's like, well, you can't talk to anybody. Then if you're just over there on the side in the corner, no girl's going to go over there and start talking to you.
Yeah.
So you have to be able to find some kind of strategy to get up there and engage.
Right. Yeah. So as usually is the case, it was a girl or just women in general that kind of got you into this. I need to get off the corner and off the couch.
Well, there's always going to be the driving forces, but I would say in general at first, because when I was really young, you have your little crushes and things like that. And I would say, well, I would like to talk to her, and then I'd see other guys do it. And I'd say, well, what are they doing? How are they doing that?
If they can do it.
Yeah, I would like to be able to do it, but not today. Maybe some other time. And
So tell me about your journey from introvert to world domination.
yeah, well, it started off one very interesting story was when we moved from Texas to Colorado, and I was in second grade and came here. And I know that this wouldn't happen today. Things are different these days, but I was introverted, shy, and socially awkward. Those are 3 different things. I have all of those things. And when I got to school, the first day of school, I didn't talk to anybody. And I used to pick one kid, and I just talked to one kid. I wouldn't talk to adults or other kids. And after a couple of days, the teachers, they just put me in the hearing impaired kids class.
That's cool, man.
Because I guess they thought that I was deaf for some reason, hearing impaired. But it was cool because we didn't have to talk.
Yeah.
There was Isaac, Ingrid, and Patty, and myself. So I remember them all.
Yeah, wait,
You learn sign language?
Yeah, we're just learning sign
Oh,
language.
man.
And
You up in here like, wait a minute, I can hear you. I mean, talk about being awkward, man. That's got to be awkward. Like,
it's good.
I can hear you.
Yeah, but
Mrs. Crabtree, I can hear you.
so then my mom found out and kicked me back out to general population.
You got my baby up in that class again.
So then I said, I have to figure this out. And so I didn't figure it out right away. It took years of observation. So one superpower of introverts, I believe, is the power of observation.
Yes.
Because we're always kind of
Always looking.
watching. Whereas, Kirk might just go in and just start talking and hitting up people.
Kirk comes in like Kool-Aid. Hey.
I am the bowling ball.
Right.
I'm the bowling ball. I'm coming down the lane to meet all the pins at one time.
Right. And Jason and I might kind of hang back and observe the situation, see what's going on, and then we go in and we go in more informed.
Yeah.
Kirk just feels I'll get informed later.
Right.
Get in there.
Yeah, one of the tricks I've learned, especially when it's not my event, is I pick a job. Like we support other people's events, and I'll be like, oh, you need me to MC, or you need me to work the door, or you need me to do something like that. Give me a job, and then that helps me to kind of get over that social anxiety. And I'm like, okay, now I'm doing something. But like, just throw me in a room with people I don't know, and I've got to like make small talk. I hate it. I hate it.
Wow. That's a good takeaway for the listeners is, if you can find a job to do, or if you weren't assigned a job, just
take one.
Take a job. Make yourself and one thing that I tell people also is if you can't find anyone to talk to, the host, whoever invited you, is obligated to talk to you. Right?
Yeah.
They invited you. So one thing that I did once was I walked into a place and I was like, man, I don't know what am I supposed to do? So I went and I stood next to the host, and as people were walking in and the host was welcoming them and shaking their hands, I would shake their hand and welcome them. So he'd say, thanks for coming. And I would say, yeah, thanks for coming. Like, I'm Nick. And then so I'm standing next to the host, so they say, well, this guy must have something to do with this thing also.
Obviously.
And then after I met about 10 people, then I went in, and while they were getting settled in, then I was able to socialize with them because I had already just met them at the door with the host.
So, but when you're in school though, like how many years does it take you to get to the point of saying, okay, I'm not weird, I'm not strange, I'm not broken, I'm just different? Like,
why you gotta be weird, strange, and broken, man?
I'm just saying, dude. If you show up in a school and all of a sudden they put you in a class where nobody can hear but you can hear, like all of a sudden you are the weird kid. Like in that situation, like what's wrong with him? He can hear, right? And so I mean, all of a sudden you are like the outsider in. And so when Mama called and Mama said it all straight and said, no, my baby can hear. And then they put you back in. I can just imagine Mama coming up there in her house coat, house robe with a scarf on and a rollers.
I know you didn't.
No, you didn't put my baby. But so when you back in that class, and again, then there's the whole, wait a minute, he's back now. Did he get healed? Like he can hear.
It's a miracle.
So at what point, and so that's what I'm saying.
That's
what I'm saying. So my point is, at some point you have to say, okay, like maybe it ain't me. Like maybe this is just who I am kind of thing.
Well, I noticed that there were some other kids that were kind of like that. So I kind of gathered around with the land of misfit toys, the over here on the side kids. And we did the best we could, but So I was able to make some friends with the quiet kids, but at the same time, I would look over to all the Kirks out there of the world, the young Kirks, and I would say, I'd like to be able to get advantage of some of these opportunities, because whether it's talking to the girls or whether it's being able to get invited to the parties, like even later on when you're going to places, play spin the bottle or whatever, you're going to these parties. I want to go, but if you're not talking to people, they're not going to invite you.
I want to spin the bottle.
I want to be in the closet. Oh wait, no, wait.
See,
we'll just leave that one there.
Creepy, man. You gotta get creepy, man.
Yeah,
gotta be me.
You see all these things happening socially, and as a kid, especially that social thing, especially when you get into like high school, social is big. It's a big thing, and when you're not in it where you think that you need to be in it, it has a big impact on you. So I was like, I need to figure this out.
Now, did you have a lot of friends or no?
I had I would say, a close circle of friends. I was friends with a lot of different groups. So it wasn't like I was in one of those movies where you're sitting at this one lunch table and people are knocking stuff over. I wasn't bullied or anything, but I was friends with people in all the different groups because I would isolate. So instead of like going up and just saying, I'm going to talk to this group, I would isolate one person and I would say, I'm going to talk to that person in that group. And then that person usually would introduce me to the other people in the group, but I wouldn't necessarily hang out with the group, but I would talk to them individually. And I still do that these days.
I think that's actually kind of an introvert superpower, because I was kind of the same way, where I could get along with every group, and I knew at least a couple people in each group. We would have something in common, whether it was some class or skateboarding or some, whatever it is. But correct me if I'm wrong, Kurt, but it seems like sometimes a lot of the extroverted kids were like kind of locked in their groups, like you're the jock or you're the, whatever. And so having that ability to kind of like infiltrate each group and be friends with whoever.
Me personally, I was friends with whoever, man. I was just kind of down for it. In the lunchroom, I would walk up to anybody and ask if they gonna eat them temptators. We used to call it tater tots, temptators. And so I'm like, you want to eat them temptators, man? Let me get one. Let me get a temptator. And then so I'd walk up to anybody. So, but to your point though, I think a lot of people can get locked into certain groups, I guess you could say. But not, in my case, matter of fact, in my case, it was kind of, I don't like being locked into certain groups. Like I hate conforming to group patterns and norms and all that kind of stuff. So me, I'd rather get kind of outside of the bubble.
Yeah, he's just a rebel anyway. He don't want to conform to nothing.
Pretty much. Speaking of being a rebel,
hey, let's be rebels.
Let's rebel ourselves to a break.
Let's do that break.
What do you think? Mad Men and Masculinity, KLDC. We'll be right back. Boom.
Boom shakalaka.
Right at.
Oh, I forgot to tell you. Look at us on the screen.
Okay.
Because the funny thing is actually when you're looking at him and me on the screen, you're looking at us. But look at us on the screen. That way, so you're talking to the people.
Okay.
Cool.
Yeah, we're gonna get into this. We're gonna get some bullet points. You're gonna teach the people. You're gonna teach those introverts out of there how to dominate the world. You're gonna take over the world, Pinky.
You ready?
Yeah. And we're back.
Yep.
Mad Men of Masculinity on KLDC in the Mile High City.
And on the interwebs.
Everywhere.
If you're from the hood, it's everywhere. We're talking YouTube, we're talking Facebook, we're talking your podcast platforms you like to listen to. Man, if you ask your mama and them, you ask, your cousin and them.
You better ask your mama and them.
Ask all of them. We all over the place, all that kind of stuff,
we
man.
Everywhere.
Hit like, subscribe. Don't be a chump. We are listener supported. And the only way we ask for your support is hit the subscribe button, man. Put a comment in there. If you're watching this, happen to be watching us live as we're doing this, put a comment in there. We can read your comments. JBK will put you on the screen and make you famous. All that kind of stuff, man. We digging this. Today we're talking about being an introvert and having that open the door to world domination. Although we know extroverts kind of really run the world, but
I think extroverts may just kind of like how us men seem to run the world, but the women are behind the scenes pulling the strings. I think maybe the introverts are behind the scenes pulling the strings.
Yeah, so extroverts are like the Wizard of Oz with all the flames and the thing, but then the introverts are really the guy behind the curtain
Yep.
Hiding
back there, pulling all the levers.
Don't look at the man behind the curtain.
That's right.
Those are the introverts. But it takes both.
Yes.
It takes both.
And speaking of, we got the expert, the author, the man himself, speaker and coach, and what else do? You do everything, right?
Do a lot of stuff.
But the author of An Introvert's Guide to World Domination, and we're here talking to the introverts. So you introverted men out there who want to get out there and be more like the extroverts, like Kirk, and want to get off the wall and stop being a wallflower and start talking to them ladies. Get the man's book, man, or maybe just call him up.
Or you can just you can tap into what all you have to offer as an introvert, and you can be like, wait a minute, man, I got something to offer, because every extrovert needs an introvert.
Yes.
Right. So because you're an introvert, that ain't necessarily a bad thing. You just got to find your complement.
Well, let's ask the expert. What do you think, sir?
It's not a bad thing, and you don't have to be an extrovert to succeed in all aspects of life. You can do it as an introvert,
right?
And you just have to strategize and get a little social strategy in there.
What is that strategy?
Well, it's not just one thing.
Yeah.
Strategy.
It's a spectrum. It's the spectrum of strategies.
So number one, you have to show up. You actually have to show up, because you can't.
You hear that? You can't sit on your couch. No, you got to show up.
Yes, you actually have to leave and go out and be around.
What? I can hear all the introverts like, what?
Yeah.
I got to go outside.
But here's the deal, though. I mean, and this is kind of I think an important nuance pretty early here. Being an introvert doesn't necessarily mean you hate people, right? It doesn't necessarily mean you don't want to, you're a recluse, or, like you said, there's a difference between introvert, shy, and awkward. Like there's different things in there. So being an introvert, right? I mean, well, I'll let you describe it. I mean, what is that definition of introvert versus extrovert, or just introvert, period?
Right. So an introvert loses energy when they are having social interactions, and an extrovert is getting energy. So if you wake up in the morning, I believe Simon Sinek described it this way: when you wake up in the morning, if you had like energy coins, and an extrovert wakes up with 0 energy coins, and every interaction they have, they're getting an energy coin, and then an introvert has a set amount of energy coins, and every interaction they have, they're giving up one, and then they're going to need to go and be alone somewhere or rest to get those back.
So basically what you're saying is extroverts are vampires. They're just taking our energy coins and sucking us dry.
Yeah. Or you say introverts are just selfish, and they're hoarders, and they want to keep their little coins.
Well, there's the other side of the coin right there.
They want to keep them little coins to themselves. I'm keeping my coins right over here with me.
No, I mean, in my experience, like it depends on the people. Like, it's not like I don't like people.
Right.
Now, granted, there's times when I don't like huge crowds of people. I mean, concerts and things like that. I mean, it has to be a band I really like, because I'm not going downtown for a taste of Colorado and stuff like that just to be around a whole bunch of people. I like quality over quantity kind of thing. But I don't hate people. I just like to be selective with people.
Right. It's nothing about hating people. It's just, you have a certain amount of energy to spend, and then you have to choose what you're going to spend that on. So when you show up, you can show up, and you can be show up very extroverted, but it's only for a certain amount of time.
Yep.
And then you're like, time's up. I'm running out.
I'm the king of the Irish exit. Yes. Like my energy runs out, or my time runs out, and also I'm just out the back door.
Yes. So there's a lot of introverts that nobody says, I think they're an introvert. They think they're extroverts, but they, just like me, if you see me, I'll show up. Yeah, everybody. And you got about, maybe 45 minutes. and then that's it. You're like, where did he go?
You got like a fuse, and then after that, it's done, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah, I get it.
I know. I had that experience. I remember telling one girl one time at a bar or something. I was like, I'm an introvert. She was like, no, you're not. You're that. And I was like, oh, you don't see me at home. Right. Like, you only see me out here.
Right.
Like, you see me at home, I'd be like, well, of course you wouldn't see me at home because I'm leaving you to go home.
Yeah. I just wonder if I think sometimes the quote unquote extrovert, or the people that are perceived as extroverts, get more of the cred, or get more of the just are seen with a different value socially, as opposed to people who are considered introverts, in terms of the people who are extroverts get more of the spotlight a lot of times, because they can just kind of walk into a room, and pretty soon they'll have a friend or two, and the longer they're there, the more friends they have. And so I wonder I wonder if sometimes introverts don't get the credit that you all deserve.
You're correct, because a lot of times, especially in corporations, a lot of introverts will say that they'll get passed over, they won't get noticed in meetings, they don't feel heard or seen. And so we try to come up with techniques to help make that possible. And so it's not just with the dating thing, but yes, also at your workplace as well.
What would some of those techniques be? Let's teach the people. Let's give them some wise nuggets of wisdom from Mr. Nick Shelton.
Here's some simple things that I was just talking with someone about last week, and that some of your listeners can put into practice right away. And that is, when you enter a room, and I had somebody say, I don't know how it looks. Do I look okay when I enter a room? And so I would always tell them, walk in like you're wearing a cape. And if you walk like you're wearing a cape and you want it to drape correctly, then you're going to have a good posture and you're going to have a good stride. And, men or women or whatever you are, if you walk like you're wearing a cape, you're going to project some confidence and you're going to look as good as you can look as you're walking in. And so you're not going to walk in like you're some Star Wars creature or something like that. You're going to walk, well, on Star Wars, some people wear capes, but they look cool when they're walking in their capes.
Right.
And that's how you'll look and in workshops that I'll do, we'll actually hand out capes, have everyone put them on and walk around, and you can see the difference.
Oh, yeah.
And so if you practice this at home and just walk around like you're wearing a cape, that's how you're going to enter a room. And I'll tell myself, cape walk, as I'm walking around.
That's a good idea, man.
Yeah.
I'm going to do that.
Yeah, it's like the power pose thing. Like, you imagine yourself standing with a cape blowing in the wind and that like Superman pose. Like, that'll change your energy. That'll make you be like, okay, I'm here. I'm ready to go.
I'm going to do that standing in my mirror at home.
Yes. And then another one is, if you're seated, a technique that I call Duke cookie face. And that is because I was at a holiday party with a woman I was dating at the time, and I was thinking, I don't know anyone here, but they're all going to be judging me, and I need to look approachable. So I was thinking, okay, so how do I sit? I would sit like, how would a duke sit, or a duchess? A duke or a duchess, however you imagine in your mind, these high nobility, they wouldn't be stiff, but they would have good posture. So they'd be sitting with a nice posture. And then for their face, like I used to have like a kind of a grouchy resting face. So people would be like, do you want to fight me? And
it's the RDF. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's the RDF.
Mm-hmm. So it's like, why do people think I want to fight them, or I'm angry? They're like, do I owe you money? And so I was like, I need to change whatever's happening. And so I was thinking, if I go to my best friend's house and I'm hit with the aroma of fresh baked cookies when they open the door, I like cookies. They're going to offer me some cookies, obviously. So I'm expecting to get cookies soon face. And so it's not like grinning like some crazy person, but it's a nice, pleasant, And then so you're sitting, so the Duke part or Duchess, and then your cookie face or whatever you would like is imminent. And if I lock eyes with someone, I telepathically say, cookies are coming, and so this gives you kind of this little glow, and you can do this, try this out today, and you will see results. People will come up to you. You seem open, and it just changes your whole aura, your whole being, if you just implement this. So you can do this at work, you can do this while you're waiting to pick up food at a restaurant, wherever, and just try it out. Cape walk and Duke or Duchess cookie.
Oh, you got to let us know. You guys got to try this out. Mad Men Mafia, get out there, especially our introverts out there. Try this out and then comment. Let us know. Is Nick full of it, or is this got some power to it? It's got some gumption.
Because I almost wonder, though, do introverts know, like, I only got so much time, and then people,
the aware ones do it.
So, but I'm saying, knowing that, then do you walk in like, oh man, like you walk in cautious for that interaction or the first interactions because you only got a certain amount of time, because you know what this interaction is going to do to you.
Well, it's not like it's a 19 minutes sort of thing, and it's like counting down. It's you just go in and you're feeling it out. So some people might really take a toll on you, and then other people might not at all. And so it just depends on how it's going. And
that's one of the things. I mean, in my experience as an introvert, it's about the energy of the other person. Right. Like me and Kurt can hang out all day, every day. He's not going to drain me. It's fine. other people, they got 5 minutes before I'm like, I gotta, just for my own well-being, I've got to step out over here. So yeah, it depends on kind of the vibe. And there's one good thing, like to Kirk's point, every extrovert needs an introvert because we're really good at reading energy. We can tell you pretty quick if somebody's got good energy or bad energy, or if they're creepy, or they've got subversive intentions. I mean, a lot of times we pick up on those things because we're always looking and listening and kind of feeling, going, okay, well, how do I create a safe space for myself? Right. I do that by looking and watching and paying attention and listening to everybody and kind of feeling it out.
I have a I'm going to say a spirit of expectation when I'm walking into a room full of people. I would imagine that's not the case for introverts, or maybe it is. I don't know.
A spirit of expectation.
Explain that.
Because when I'm walking into a room full of people, to me, that's a whole lot of closet doors that I get to open up. And I get to, there's a whole lot of treasure chests I get to open up to, to experience folks and to, like, a whole lot of questions that I know that are gonna get answered in terms of these interactions. Who is this person? What can I, how can I connect with this person or this person? So when I walk into that room full of people, to me, I'm like, this is I'm like a chubby kid at a buffet, right? I'm like, I'm about to munch on this. You talk about cookies and cake. Yeah, it's about to go down. But like I said, if you're an introvert, then maybe you walk into a room full of people. Maybe, I don't know. Maybe you walk into a room full of people like, here we go. Or is that not the case?
For me, it's not like your scenario where I'm like, treasure chest, let's go. I go in, I'm like, all right, showtime, here we go. And then another tip that I tell people, what I do is I'll hunt introverts, and not to harm them in any way.
Watch out, y'all, you got a van out back.
But they're easier to engage with. So if I'm in there, I'll look around the edges, see who looks like I feel, and I'll go and engage them. I call myself rescuing them, because they're there to socialize, and they don't know how to do it. So I'm like, if I go and save that person, that's one, and then we'll grab another one. We'll have the power of 3, because if you just talk to one, and then you don't want to talk to them anymore, it's hard to get away. But if you talk to one and then you bring in another one, so then 3 of you, the conversation will flow a lot better. And if you need to excuse yourself, then it's easier to excuse yourself, and they'll still be
right. Speaking of excusing ourselves,
excuse me,
we gotta take a break. Time to take a break. Excuse me, we're gonna take a break. We'll be right back. Mad Men of Masculinity.
So should we get into networking or making connections? Let's do making connections.
Hey, I got a list of famous introverts.
Oh, I'll check you out.
Look at that. See?
Look at this guy.
I'm on it. I won't read the whole list because it's like a million people. But still.
Just cherry pick.
All right.
Ready?
Yeah. We're back.
Yes, we are back.
We are back.
We're back.
We're back like that cape. That cape is on your back.
That's right.
See, y'all missed that. See, y'all, you missed that, man. That was only like a couple minutes ago, man. You missed that whole thing, man. We're talking about introverts. We're talking about introverts, and by default, we're talking about extroverts because extroverts like to be talked about. But so we're talking about it. I put up a list of famous introverts: Bill Gates, Albert Einstein, Warren Buffett, J.K. Rowling, Emma Watson, Mark Zuckerberg, Barack Obama, Steven Spielberg, Abraham Lincoln, Rosa Parks, Elon Musk, Michael Jordan, Eleanor Roosevelt, Lady Gaga, Larry Page, Steve Wozniak. A lot of really famous, like successful people that have made a big difference in the world. And are really, speaking of world domination, they're dominating as an introvert.
Yeah, you look at people like that and you realize that just because you're an introvert doesn't mean you're, like you said before, hiding in the closet and not coming outside. Like, you have your stage moments, you have your extroverted moments. It just means in most cases you're probably a little more critical about it, or you're more specific about you plan those times out. I think to Nick's book and to what he is teaching a lot of the introverts out there, and even from his experience, I mean, making connections. I mean, I know you were talking about before the break, you go to a place and you go rescue other introverts and you make connections with them. How would you kind of coach other introverts into the best way of making connections? Like, do you start with other introverts because you resonate and then move on to extroverts, or what's your MO for that? What's your SOP?
Yeah, so I usually will try to figure out the location. So it's that there's that saying, you are the sum of the 5 people you spend the most time around.
Right.
So then I say, okay, well, where would these people be? And then I have to figure out where that is. And then, okay, now I need to get to that location. And then when I'm there in the room, then it doesn't matter if they are one of the introverts or one of the extroverts, because I'm in the right place. So then we go back to the showing up. And then, you have the small talk part, which I tell people you're just going to want to go off of observations. That way you don't have to memorize anything. You just look around the room. You can say something about the clothes. You can say something about the temperature, like, oh, it sure is hot in here. Are they trying to get us to take our clothes off? And, or
like Nelly.
Yes, exactly. Or
is Nelly an introvert?
You talk about that. There's furniture in the bathroom. That's a fancy place. Whatever. But to connect, I found a really good thing is, there's either hobbies, shared interests, or asking advice about something that the person might know something about. And so if you ask advice from someone like I know you guys like golf, and I'm good at like miniature golf, putt-putt golf, but not golf. So if I were to ask one of you, I was wondering about, so I'm just starting off at golf, and like what kind of clubs should I get? And then where should I probably start? What's a good course to start? You would love to share your knowledge with me. You're like, oh, I'm going to mold them. Mm-hmm. And then you would tell me, so one thing that would be bad is if I just acted like I knew already. Hey, yeah, I'm golfing too, like you guys. And then I say something, you're like, he doesn't know what he's talking about. Right. But if I say, what is your advice on the clubs? And then you would tell me, tell me, go to this course, try this out, and then, or go see this guy who's going to show you how to swing properly. And then, so I asked your advice, and then the next thing is, I don't have to do everything you said, but if I do one thing, like you said, go get a set of Ping I2 clubs or something, and then I go get those clubs, or a club, one of them, and then I say, hey, I got this club, that I follow up. I got this club that you said, and then you're like, oh yes, and that now you're invested in me because I asked advice, and this happens a lot. People ask advice and they don't do anything. You never hear anything. But if I ask you advice and then you give it, and then I do something that you said, and then I follow up with you and I said, oh, I got it, and the club's working like this, and you say, oh, okay, now, and then you'll give another thing, and now you're invested in me, and now my whole golf journey, you are tied to me on that, and you're looking out for me. And so now we're making a connection. We have a light bond, and it will get strengthened the more we get into it.
I feel the connection already. I feel it. And those people that ask for advice and then don't do anything about it are called askholes. Don't be an asshole.
I got you. Yeah, don't be a
bottomless just a bottomless pit of taking my advice and energy and not doing nothing with it.
So are introverts better off at doing the talking or doing the listening?
Well, I would say that introverts are better listeners, but I think that usually if I'm with another introvert, then I might say, well, I might be better at talking than them. And so I might just take the wheel and drive it, because that's happened at several things where I'm like, okay, this is all introverts here. And then everyone's just kind of waiting for someone who's going to take the lead. And then, I guess I'll be the talker. And then everyone else is going to be listening and observing me, judging.
Because I could see how if you had those coins and and the coin is depleting, I could see on one hand your coin balance going down as you're listening, and like, oh man, I wish this person would shut up. Or I could also see that coin balance going down if you're the one doing the talking and you're pouring out, if you're giving and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, I mean, I guess the answer is either or in that scenario.
Well, and sometimes, I mean, it goes back to like the people that you're interacting with, because sometimes, and what I've found with a lot of introverts, when you make that connection with them, they've been dying to talk to somebody because they spend all their time alone, or they don't talk a lot. So sometimes when you just open that door, then they get energized by finally getting to express. So sometimes if you are an extrovert or you are introverted, being maybe that bridge or going and rescuing people, the introverts like Nick does, you're giving them a gift, and then you can make those connections, and you never know what kind of, especially when it comes to networking and getting out into the world, especially you move to Denver, all the new people coming here. How do you know who's going to be good for you, who's not, and where do you meet people? But going out there and, looking for people on the wall and maybe going and talking to them and giving them the opportunity to speak. I know there's a lot of times where wow, you're talking about a life story. Like some people are just waiting for somebody to open their ears and listen to them because they don't know how to ask or they haven't had that experience before. So you might be doing people a lot of favors.
Right. And like that golf analogy, if you were introverted as you are, and I asked you about golf, you could probably talk about golf for hours and you wouldn't lose any energy because you love it. And so if we tap into something that you love, then the coin thing doesn't work the same way. You can probably flow for a long time on that.
I think it's maybe, correct me if I'm wrong, but it sounds like for most introverts, we lose our coins, we lose our energy when we're doing things that, don't resonate with us, when we're trying to talk to people that maybe we don't resonate with, or we're attempting to be extroverted when it's not something that we're passionate about. So it's like, if it's in our wheelhouse, then that feeds us. But if it's not, then it depletes us.
Right. Yes, I would agree with that. And some other tips for people that are listening that they can do. And this could happen when you go to a new city. This could happen if you went to a new country, or you can just do this at any time if you want to build out a network really quickly. And that is take a language class, take a cooking class, and take a dance class. All the same time. Well, not the same exact time,
Right.
But, so
That'd be a hard class.
Sign up for a language class. So you could take a Spanish class, then you could take a salsa class, and then you can take a cooking class on how to make kolaches or something.
Right.
Now, what's the logic behind that of taking the classes?
Because then it puts you in this environment with other people that are doing a similar thing. So like it's the Spanish class, you're going to be in there with a bunch of other people learning Spanish, and then they'll say, we should all go to a restaurant together and order in Spanish. And now you have this little crew that you can go with, and you're meeting all those people. And some of them, you might bond with somebody in that group, but it just puts you in that. So you're not just walking around trying to find someplace to meet people. You're meeting people. This could work for dating too, because you might meet someone in that Spanish class. You might meet someone in the cooking class. They're very intimate. You're in there cooking, messing with dough and oils and stuff.
Knives. No, it's like
And then so the language, the dance class very intimate also. So you might learn some salsa, and then they'll say, oh, after this, we're all heading to this club and we're all going to dance. And then you can go and dance.
I'm glad that you separated those, because a language, cooking, dance class sounds dangerous.
Yeah.
Try to do all that at once. That's a lot.
Yeah, that's a whole lot. It basically sounds like your advice is not to be recluse. Like not to just be home sitting on the couch. Like that's not beneficial.
Yeah, you have to show up. You have to get out there, and it's an easy way, because the dancing, you're like, I'm not good at dancing. It's a dance class.
Yeah,
you're learning. You're learning to cook, and if you know how to cook, go anyway, and then you can be a star in there.
No, but I like that, because there's similar interests, and this is one of the things we talked about in our book, 7 Secrets from Modern Dating, is find people who are doing similar things, like have similar interests. And so, because especially, you're totally right. Trying to get out there and like just pull somebody off the street. Right. Number one, you look like a weird stalker and creepy. Otherwise, and then you don't know who this person is. So going someplace where they have a similar interest, or they're doing something that they're interested in, that you're interested in. Right. You immediately have that connection of, hey, we have these things in common.
Yes. I know somebody that was doing a speed dating event. And there's a lot of people was like, man, that is the worst idea ever. Like, I never, ever want to do that. Just go, plop down at a different table every 5 minutes with a different person kind of thing. But at the same time, that doesn't mean that you should avoid being around people and being with people. And ultimately, again, if you are an introvert, ultimately you kind of want to see the benefit of being in a relationship with an extrovert. Because if you're an introvert and you're waking up with a bunch of coins, you need somebody to give those coins to share those coins with.
That's not how it works, man.
And you need somebody that wakes up with no coins, right? And they're looking for a source for coins. I'm not talking about like a codependent relationship, but either way, it is an ebb and flow, kind of like with masculine and feminine, and kind of like, with all these other kind of things. I mean, it's not necessarily a bad thing you still need the right person, obviously, with the right, values, goals, outlooks, and all those kinds of things. But don't be afraid to be with somebody that is the opposite, side of the spectrum of that in terms of that personality type.
Is your fiance an introvert?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Here's the trippy part. So I am an ENFP, right? And she is an INFP. Our scores are almost identical with the NFP. Mm-hmm. And we are the complete opposite with the introvert and extrovert. So other than being opposite with introvert and extrovert, we're both, we both have the same, intuitive feeling perceiving type of personality. And so, yeah, we are absolutely the opposite in that, but we're the same in everything else.
Well, in that case, you have that balance, you have the same similar things in common, but then you get to harmonize with each other. You get to be extroverted and yeah, it's true. I mean, sometimes you get two introverts together, they may never leave the house. They turn into mushrooms, So sometimes you need that balance, that harmony of like, okay, we need somebody who's adventurous, somebody who's detail oriented, somebody who's more extroverted, somebody who's more introverted to find that balance. But I mean, to have those other things in common though, that's really big.
And if you're in a relationship with that person, like if you're an introvert and being in a relationship with an extrovert, you always got somebody that'll do all the talking when you go places. And, and vice versa. If you're an extrovert, you got an introvert, you got somebody that won't do all the talking so you can, right? And in addition to that now it can be like, okay, drive me crazy kind of thing, because she taps out and I'm like, I'm just like, man, I'm just getting into my flow in this party, right? And she's like, can we go now? And so, but it is seeing the benefit of both. When we go into a room, neither one of us are competing for coins, giving or receiving. Like, neither one of us, we go into a room, it's already established who's going to be this and who's going to be that.
Well, in that case too, you got her talent as a listener, as the introvert. So she's actually listening to people's names and what they said. So later on, when you're like, who was that?
I'm like, did you catch their name? Nope. But I can tell you everything about them, I mean, and so, yeah, I mean, like I said, there's benefit to being with somebody that's on the other side of that dynamic relationally.
Yeah, it's all about harmony. You got to find that harmony. We need more harmony. You don't want everybody to be able, just like you. You need to find that balance: masculine, feminine energy, introverted, extroverted, likes, dislikes, all those different things. What do you think about that, sir? Would you agree or disagree?
I absolutely agree. Yeah, that it is a really good balance. I know my girlfriend does all the phone, anything to do with the phone. I'm like, I gotta make some phone calls. She's like, you want me to make them?
Yes, I do.
Yeah,
as a matter of fact,
I do all the phone stuff.
Yeah.
She's like, I love it. I love being on the phone. It's like, wow, yeah, you can take over the phone. Anything to do with the phone.
You do the phone, I'll do the typing.
Yeah, so it can be helpful to balance out, but you're gonna find these people not on your couch. They're not going to come to your house, most likely.
Come on, man. I've been reading The Secret. I can manifest them into my couch.
No, I don't think it works that way.
No?
I think that's,
I want my money back.
I think that's called DoorDash.
Oh.
Speaking of DoorDash,
let's dash out the door.
Let's dash for a break. Mad Men of Masculinity, we'll be right back.
Boom. All right, Mr. Shelton, how would you like to end the last segment? Anything you want to touch on?
You got anything coming up? Or
maintaining relationships?
I like that.
Nothing really coming up.
Oh, no more TED Talks? No more?
I'm waiting to hear back from CU Boulder. See if I can get up in there.
Noise.
Go up there with Coach Brian.
Noise.
All right, maintaining relationships. I like that.
We're back.
Yes, we are back.
Mad Men of Masculinity.
Do you like our capes? We're doing the cape walk now.
We're doing the cape. We're walking
around.
Yeah,
you like that, don't you? You like that,
girl.
girl.
When I go home, I'm going to say, hey, baby, I'm going to put my cape on.
And nothing else.
You know what we do. You know what time it is. When you get home and I just got my cape on, you know it's time to be super.
So,
hey, before we move on, I cannot move forward without recognizing the fact that as we record this, our man JBK is about to have a birthday coming up.
Man, why you gotta be putting up with that, man?
I just wanted to let you know, man.
See, I'm introverted. I don't like that mess.
I don't care, man. I don't care. I appreciate you, man. Your brother from another mother. One of my closest people in my life, man. And I appreciate you, and happy birthday.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
All right, back to it.
So, see, now you got to throw me off with all the birthday mess.
I'm not crying. You cry.
So we came in here with our capes. and
Yeah.
he was talking about wearing his cape with nothing else. Is that a way to keep a relationship going? Would you say, Nick, or is that just craziness?
I wasn't expecting the whole cape thing to go.
Hey, man, you know.
Well, you're in our house
Don't
now,
judge
so
me, man. You coming to my house? I'm wearing my underoos.
Yeah.
You remember underoos?
Yeah.
I used to love them underoos. But talk about like maintaining relationships.
Yes. The most important thing is to maintain, because a lot of times people and a lot of the extroverts will go out and they'll go into the room, hey, everybody, and shake hands, meet everybody. And then they don't maintain the relationships. They don't follow up. And then all of that work is for nothing. You have to maintain the relationships. And so an easy way that I found to do that, because you want to organize it as easy as possible so you'll actually do it. And that is, every 3 months, I will go through my contact list, my email contact list and my phone contact list. And then I make a side list of who do I need to talk to that I haven't talked to the past 3 months. And so I'll have a short list there. And then from that list, and you don't have to do it all in one day, but I just start chipping away at it. So some people I'll make a phone call if they require a phone call. Some people I try to stay away from just an email or a text. I want to make it more personal. So I'll either do a phone call or a voice message, or my favorite thing is a video. And so that way they can see me, they can see my expressions and all that. And I will just tell them what's going on with me and say, it's been a little while. Here's the latest in my life. And what's going on with you? How's your son's knee from the football thing, or how's the new baby and all of that sort of thing? How's the cat that you adopted? And so now I'm top of mind with them because I just sent them a video, and I'll just go down the list of people. And then so every 3 months I say, who do I need to contact now? Who do I need to contact now? So that way all these people know what the latest is with me, and I will ask about them so then they can get back to me with the latest. And so that way, if there's something going on that they could help me with, then they say, so they need a speaker for this event, and Nick was wanting to speak at an event. Oh, I'll call him because they know what's going on. And then maybe they have a kid that is about to apply for colleges, and maybe my brother happens to be a recruiter for CU, and I could say, oh, well, your kid, would they consider going to CU? And so, because I know that. But if we weren't in touch, and then 6 years pass, and the person calls and says, hey, can your brother help my kid get into CU? And I'm like, what? I haven't talked to you in 6 years. I don't know you. I know you like that.
I like that. Yeah, I think, especially because the way I grew up as an Army brat, moving around so much, I didn't have a good keeping connected skills, keeping the relationships going. So it's pretty much like, all right, peace out, I'm going to the next base and the next group of friends and stuff like that. So if it wasn't for Facebook and social media, I don't think I would have ever reconnected with a lot of those people. So that's good to keep in mind. Like, introverts, you got to make a list, get your spreadsheet out, and connect with people every 3 months so they know that you're still alive and you're still out there.
Well, it makes a huge difference. And that, so I travel a lot, and I travel a lot internationally. And if you keep in touch with people, then you can say, I'm going to be in Bangladesh. And so maybe I know someone that's in Bangladesh, or I say, does anybody know somebody in Bangladesh? And then somebody will say, yes. And then I might get picked up from the airport, and someone will show me around, versus, well, I didn't keep in touch with anybody, so now I just got to figure it out. So it's a huge thing to keep that network going, because you've already made the connections. All you have to do is just and everyone always just says, well, I was waiting for them to do it.
Right.
And you have to decide you're going to be the one that does it.
Yeah.
You do it.
If you got some of them introverted coins, you need to stop hoarding them coins and start giving them away.
Ooh. What you mean by that, man?
I'm just saying.
You trying to get my bank?
Y'all introverts.
Get your hand out my pocket.
Y'all introverts be hoarding them coins, man, and us extroverts be needing them coins, man.
Well, and that's another thing too. That kind of brings up a good point. If you are an extrovert and you have introverted friends, and they keep leaving you, then you're stealing too many of their coins. You got to find out something there that refills their coin bucket. So it's one of those kind of give and take things. Like in any interaction, any relationship, it's all about energy exchange. And so if you're just taking and you're not helping to reciprocate, then you may not have a lot of friends around. They may just be dipping left and right, just Irish exit out the back door. Like, where'd they go? because they're not being fed.
But it sounds like you don't drain an introvert if you talk about something that they are passionate about, or that they are, that they care a lot about.
Yeah, and that's where the problem is. Like, because a lot of times, and Nick can back me up or tell me I'm completely full of it, but a lot of times it's, if you get them to open up and talk about what they care about, then it feeds them. But if they're constantly just listening to you and you're not asking them any questions and getting into their head, then you're just gonna be draining them. What do you say, Nick?
I agree. You want to find that common interest, or find out what they're interested in. If you know it's an introvert, figure out what that is. Ask the questions, and then you can ask the advice. Like I said earlier, ask the advice about something, and
I bet you'll get a lot of advice, because I'm sure a lot of introverts, all they do is think all day long, thinking about stuff, and they're like, somebody should ask me because I got answers for everything.
Right. Yes, you have an answer.
And it sounds like, for us extroverts, it sounds like in a crowded room, the introverts are normally on the perimeter of the room,
right?
From what you said, and so normally you can, as you swim through the fish tank, you can figure out which kind of fish or what, in terms of who could interact with, and who maybe to kind of not go steal their coins.
Well, I mean, and you can always go and make friends with the introverts. Just, you got to be more interested.
I encourage you to go and talk to them.
Yeah.
Go rescue them.
Yeah.
Well, and I mean, even to the point of like the harmony we were talking about before, if you're an extrovert and you want the spotlight, you need somebody who needs to support that spotlight or the behind the scenes stuff. And so having somebody who likes to do those things, like even to Nick's point, she wants to do the phone calls. He doesn't want to be on the phone. So having somebody that does the things that, and that's part of like the harmony of business, relationships, life. If you can find somebody who likes to do things you don't like to do, and they don't like to do things you do like to do, now you got, you've got a companionship and a partnership where you can get all that stuff done and everybody's happy doing what they're doing.
And just because you're an introvert as a guy, like say a single guy, that doesn't mean you got an excuse to sit on the couch, sit at home, watch TV, do nothing, play video games, and twiddle your thumbs. You got to get out there and meet people.
Yeah, no, right now you got an assignment from the Mad Men of Masculinity. You're going to pick up Nick's book, An Introvert's Guide to World Domination. You're going to read it. You're going to start taking action, follow this little guide, and get yourself out there, man. Because I know every introvert, you like your alone time, but you like to be out there too.
Yeah.
Get out there, man. What would be your nuggets of wisdom? If you only had a couple bullet points to give somebody, like for an introvert who wants to get out there, Nick, like what would be like the main things you're like, you need A, B, and C?
Let's say, yes, you need to. Oh, here's an important thing is a lot of times people, when they show up somewhere, they say, I'm going to meet, I'll set a goal for 20 people. I'm going to go and shake 20 hands or something like that. And I say, why would you do that to yourself? Say one. I'm going to meet one person today, and then set the bar really low. So that way you can at least do that. And then if not, you're like, well, I almost met one. But if you say, and that encourages you to do it. And then if you do more than one, you're like, hey, I did two. I doubled my goal. But just set the bar really low, show up. And it's so easy to do those things, especially if you're trying to meet new people or for the dating. Do that language class, do a dance class, do the art walk or whatever that they do. You're going to meet some people. Go if you have an interest, or it doesn't have to be an interest of yours. It could be just something that you find fascinating, like glass blowing or something. Be like, oh, go to a glass blowing class, and what type of person would go to that? Let's see. Beekeeping. Who's going to be there? So just go to find these little side things and sign up for a class, and there's going to be a group of people, and that way you're just around the proximity. When I was dating a while back before I got the relationship, I was like, let me just join up a lot of little different things where I'm just in close proximity around a bunch of other people, and sooner or later, you're meeting people, even if you're not trying to. You're just there, and you don't have to talk to anyone. Just be there, just be in the room, and stuff's going to happen.
I think a lot of guys give themselves an excuse not to do any of the stuff you talked about because they're introverts or because whatever. And I notice even for me, like the older I get, the more people get on my nerves. So
get on my lawn.
I just don't. People just get on my nerves. It it's not so much that I'm more introverted or anything like that. It's people get on my nerves,
Right.
and like, man, get on my face. And I just want to get away from people that get on my nerves.
It sounds like, our introverts out there who, if you don't want to be isolated, you don't want to be just an introvert, you need to be more of a yes man. You need to be more interested. Go out there and find things that you'd be interested in, some things you're curious about, and just go do it.
So if somebody's interested in you, Nick, and not interested like that, because
If somebody wants to get a hold of you,
somebody wants to get a hold of Nick Shelton
to use your skill set.
Yeah, how can they get a hold of Nick Shelton?
Go to nicksheltonspeaker.com.
Ooh,
nice.
Nicksheltonspeaker.com.
What's the speaker thing? Have you done any speaking?
Yes, I do.
That was a complete setup, man. That was a setup. Drop it, man. Drop it.
Come on.
Have you? I heard you may have been on a red dot somewhere at one point.
Oh, yes. And there's a TEDx talk out there where I talk about social anxiety, how to some techniques for combating social anxiety if that's an issue for you.
I like that. I listened to it on the way to the studio. It was good talk, very informative. I learned some things.
Again, that's another one of the things that I think can be a gray area. A lot of people think, that social anxiety is the same thing as introverted, and maybe not. Maybe it could be, but maybe not.
It's kind of the chicken and the egg. Like, a lot of introverts have social anxiety, but not all introverts have social anxiety.
And some people are just shy.
Yeah.
Man, I think you clarifying all of that is huge, man. And I know a lot of people. I can see a lot of people benefit from getting in touch with you and/or reading your book if they're, maybe professionally they got to work with people. Maybe they're in sales, or I know an attorney who is a notorious introvert friend of mine. And it's like, wait a minute, you work as an attorney with people all day long, and again, people in sales and just people that work in different kind of capacities. People in medical field and all that kind of stuff. So I think a lot of people can benefit from everything that you have to offer, man. And so I appreciate everything that you do.
Yeah, thank you for coming on the show. Thank you for getting out of your box and not being too introverted to join us today. And thank you for sharing your story, because I think a lot of people out there are going to benefit from that. And to us introverts out there, it's not a bad thing. You just got to find your superpower.
Right.
Find that cape.
Yeah.
And don't wear it like Kirk does, because then you're just creepy.
Hey, man, as long as I'm doing it in the comfort of my own home,
That's
man.
true. Whatever you do in your house, that's
sanctity of my own. Don't judge me, man. It's in the walls of my house. It's legal. It's absolutely legal, man.
That's right. You wear your cape however you want to. You run around the house in your underoos with
if I wear that.
Batman mask
not
on.
even that. Maybe I just, and do my thing.
Okay.
But I think a lot of men can benefit. I think a lot of men can relate. And so again, thanks a whole lot, man. We appreciate you, and we'd love to have you back someday.
Absolutely.
All right. Make sure, Madman Mafia, you reach out, you like, you subscribe, follow Nick, get his book, and make sure you, as an introvert, go dominate the world. And until next time, the Madmen are